fighters, I'm coming back at you with another one. Today's video topic is going to be an article that I read the other day, and you probably saw it if you follow me on X or Truth Social. I wrote a post about it, and I actually wrote a community note here on the tube. But yeah, definitely like, share, subscribe, follow me on those other platforms if you want up to date commentary. But if you're here on the tube, it's probably because you like listening to, the video versions, the vlog episodes. But anyway, it was about record recruiting levels ever since President Trump got reelected. And this was something I talked about, way back, and I could see this coming from a mile away. And I don't know if it was in my recent Veterans Day video or way back when I did the Not My Vets video. But, I could see the tide turning. There was a lot of anti-military sentiment, from people in the military or, veterans themselves. I talked about Southern Prepper 1 and Risky Krisky, and, a lot of people who were like, I don't want my son joining this military. I wouldn't raise kids up today to join what I joined in after receiving, the treatment that I got. Um, and people were just like, no way in hell do I want my kids fighting for this country, because they realize that, they're not actually fighting for this country. And in that Veterans, Day video, I think it was you saw that opening montage, where a lot of veterans are like, what did we fight for? What were we doing? And, I talked about when they came out with that commercial where, at first they were like, oh, we don't want, the Air Force was saying we don't want any more white pilots. And, we went through it all. You got General Milley and Austin or whatever saying, they want to understand white rage. And, you got Captain America now saying that Captain America's not really American. And just, the whole sentiment down the line. And people were like, what the heck are we doing? Like, what am I fighting for? And all this stuff. And then you saw the commercials slowly coming around, as shit starts to get real. And the Middle East is once again, a powder keg. And the whole world's on fire. You got the Ukraine-Russia thing. You got, the Middle East, the Israel-Palestine. China forever threatening to take over Taiwan. The whole deal. Then all of a sudden they start running ads again with, white people in the ads, trying to get that base recruitment back up. When earlier it was, what was the commercial? Angela with two moms or something like that. And the LGBTQ bullets they posted up on Twitter. And and no one's joining that. And I was like, no, you're gonna see the pendulum swing. They're gonna want to bring you back. And by bring you back, I mean the patriotic, flag waving, God loving, gun owning American patriots. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna, because when times get rough, those are the people who always, pull it out. But, you need to see through the shit, man. Because, I'm too black pilled now. I see through the matrix. I see the code, and I can see it ahead of time. Like I said, I saw it coming. And, I've talked before about, Trump being controlled opposition, and whether he is or not or whatnot, I'm not really trying to get into fights with it. I just question everything, man. That's where I'm at. That's what I do. I don't worship any of these politicians. I watch and I listen and I see what they do. And again, I have a nab for looking for the bullshit, and I call everybody out. And when you see it through the lens of, the left-right paradigm, and how I always say, they bark at each other and they say they hate each other to get their little 15 minutes of fame, their little clip on Fox News or CNN, or whatever. So you cheer them on and say, yeah, that's my guy, or that's my gal, that's my politician. Um, but in the end of the day, they always seem to come together on those, bipartisan spending bills, those uniparty omnibus screwing bills, no matter what's in them. And it's all, deal making and scratching each other's back, and they're all lying in the same bed. So at the end of the day, when you get in, you think they care that you're signing up for their military or whatnot, or you're like, this is Trump's military. I think the comment I made was, I was watching this guy's video that's, it was probably pure, military psyop, army propaganda, but it's like, oh yeah, we're so back, America's back. um it reminds me of that South Park song, America, fuck yeah. Um, but yeah, man, it's like that's the attitude going, and you're getting conned, you're getting played into basically fighting and dying for World War III. And, I don't even know if World War III is really coming, what's going on. I actually kind of have that a little further back in the playbook. I don't think that's coming right now, even though it possibly could be. I mean, 2025 was supposed to be an eventful year. They definitely said, what was that on the Deagle report? Like, half of the United States perishes. Now, that could be because of another, Billy Gates wonder weapon or whatever, he's got going, some more jabs and whatever they're cooking up in labs, who knows. But a lot of people suspected that, it was going to be of a radiation dose variety. So World War III was, possibly there. But, people think, oh no, and Trump was the anti-war president, so we don't have to worry about that. Well, yeah, look what he's doing, right now. Again, funding the Middle East stuff, funding, how do I say, his real masters. And he just had Netanyahu in the office, and he was sitting there smirking and grinning while he's like, yeah, we're, again, regime change, country, rebuilding, all this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, we're going to turn Gaza into a strip mall. Hotels and casinos and new houses for everybody. And damn well that ain't going to the Palestinians. You know damn well who's going to be owning that area. And he says that he's going to, like bid pieces off to like Egypt and Saudi Arabia and whatnot, and that other people are going to have a stake of it. Man, the whole thing is going to be a police state, right? If you ever think the Palestinian people are going to be able to move in there and like live without just being like constantly monitored, no, that ain't happening. And he's sitting there like, oh yeah, we have to rebuild it because it's just rubble, and who can live like that? Well, look who did it. Who did it? You're sitting right next to the guy, and now you're saying, we need to rebuild. And again, it's the same old playbook, the same old script. And whether it's Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush, whatever administration you're in, the military's the same, and the pendulum swings. They'll get those wokesters, when Obama or Biden, whoever, whenever the leftists are in, they'll get the wokesters, and then when they need you, they put in that controlled opposition candidate to get you to think, oh yeah, now this is the country, that I'm living in, or this is the country worth fighting for, and make you want to, go and do that again. And again, if this is a country worth fighting for, and I mentioned that I'm all in for fighting for the country, but when they come parachuting through the skies, When it's red dawn and it's crystal clear, and I don't need to take orders from anybody. Nobody has to tell me what to do. I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. You shoot first, you ask questions later. Um, but you know what, like I talked about in that Mavets video, you got these guys like Tim Kennedy and stuff like that are just born and bred order followers. And the only time, they operate is when they're told to operate. And they like doing stuff. They like the power. They like wearing the uniform. They like door kicking. They like pulling the triggers. And, they trick them by saying, like, oh, yeah, you're fighting for good. You're fighting for freedom. But they won't do none of that here. The only door kicking, and killing and trigger pulling they do here is against we the people who, speak freely, have free minds, think and do as we please, own what we want, don't ask permission. Yeah, they'll door kick that open, and put a bullet in your head for that. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what I was saying. And you got to be a fool to be joining the military now, because you think, oh man, it's different this time. Trump's weeding out the government and stuff, which it has looked good. I'm not gonna lie. This whole breaking up the U.S. AID. I'm just gonna say U.S. aid because it's simpler to say, but yeah, it's not aid. And even if it was aid, why are we giving the whole world money? We don't need to be doing that. But again, it wasn't. It was for like transformations in Guatemala and DEI in Peru and condoms in Gaza and all kinds of shit. And it's like, we don't need to be a part of it, man. All those, I forget what the total it came out to, it was like hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars needs to go to the American people. The days of, throwing money out all over the world, that needs to be done with. And I remember seeing this one video, man, I want to say that was from the Real AF podcast, where he was explaining, like, why don't the other countries should be working and paying taxes to fund America, not the other way around, man. The American people are the tax cattle. They are the worker slaves for the whole world. And you're expected to work and pay taxes to fund other countries. I mean, like I said, the country we're just talking about, where he was sitting next to Netanyahu, you pay for their educations, you pay for their schools, their health care, everything is free and funded by you, the American people. And then all these other countries, we give them, all kinds of stuff, food. We supplement their governments. We were just talking about the Canadian trade war. We give them all this money, and it's like, again, it's like all charity work. What are we doing it for? It reminds me of this episode of Rick and Morty, where, if you don't know what this is, that's like a sci-fi cartoon. I think I might have talked about it before, but he does all this like crazy experiments and stuff, and he has this like space, floating vehicle, flying spacecraft, and his battery dies. And in order to make his battery, he makes this little world, of people that like work and stuff, and they're working his car in a battery, and they think he's God because he created the world. Well, one day he goes and visits them, and one of the guys were like, look what we did. I created a mini verse to work for us, and we don't have to work anymore. And they generate electricity for us, and they end up finding out that's what they are. A battery within a battery. And it's like, anyway, I'm off topic, but it's like, America is supposed to be the car. It's the vehicle. The rest of the world should be the battery. They should be funding and everything, and keeping the ship afloat, keeping the wheels turning, here. Instead, it's the opposite. We're supposed to, fight and join wars and work and slave away to keep the wheels turning on everywhere else. And then we're told we're free at the same time. You're fighting for freedom, yet over here your freedoms are getting taken away. You can't afford health care. Groceries are ridiculous. Everything's falling apart. Infrastructure's going crazy. Trains and planes crashing out of the sky. All kinds of shit, you know. But join up, and the biggest gang on earth. I mean, really, that's the police, whatever you want to say, the military, it's all synonymous. It's the power structure. And it's not who you think it is, man. It's the NWO. It's it is the world order. And that's what you're living under. Don't get fooled by anything else, man. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Till the next one, you know what it is, man. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom Fighters out.